Hi, welcome to Bullet Pointless, when you're looking for just a hit from the On Pointless podcast. So I had a thought that was confusing my brain. If we made a perfectly sealed tube that went directly through the center of the Earth, and then we put a ladder in it, would you be able to tell the exact halfway point because you would need to flip over on the ladder?
Is that how gravity works?
Well, gravity pulls you down. There's got to be a point where you'd have to flip over if you climb down on a ladder.
No one's ever gone that far in a world to know. Feels like too theoretical.
I believe that gravity would continue to pull you to the center of mass. And as you approach the center of the Earth...
Be stronger?
It would get weaker because you'd be so close to the center of mass that, like... How would I put it? You'd be part of the mass in a way. Yeah, this is an odd question.
Yeah, but there'd have to be a point, because if you look at it the exact opposite side, you'd have to come out the opposite way. So at what point would you need to flip over? Even if you didn't visualize it as a ladder and you visualize it as like a fire pole, and you slid down, there'd be a point where you stopped. It would probably be like a rubber band motion that would sling you back up, but you'd stop somewhere.
Or I guess what I meant to say was that gravity would get greater as you approach the center. So, in a non-vacuum, non-theoretical world, you would just be crushed by, the pressure as you got closer and closer. Because, there's less pressure as you're further away from Earth than, if you climb a mountain, there's less air pressure kind of thing. But as you get deeper and deeper, there'd be more and more pressure. So I think the pressure would be so great down there that it would almost be, irrelevant. You wouldn't... Yeah, you get sucked to the center, and then as you started to climb out, you would be oriented that way in order to climb more efficiently, almost.
Yeah, because taking the side that the pressure would kill you if it didn't. You'd have to turn over at some point. It would be it might not be in the center. There'd be a point where you'd have to get away from the mass, or you'd have to turn.
Yeah, I think you'd be more than halfway down. There'd just be at one point where it's just everything's kind of a mess. You can't tell up, down, sideways. And at just at one point you'll realize you're going down. You're like, wait, no, I'm working against it. So then you'd have to flip. So I think you'd be more than halfway through.
So you think there'd be a point more than halfway through where you didn't feel like you were climbing down anymore. You feel like you were climbing up but backwards, so you'd turn over.
Yeah.
I think it would be at the direct center point that you would be sucked down to the center point, and you'd be hanging on to the rungs of the ladder the whole way down as you got sucked harder and harder. And as soon as you got to the center point and started going the other way, that's when you'd have to turn and start pulling yourself away, because technically at that center point of the ladder, that's when the gravity would be the strongest. So it would be it's the opposite of what I thought it would be, but I feel like it would actually be the hardest point to pull yourself out would be at the center in a way.
That was my thought, is it would be the exact halfway point. The point where you decided you had to turn over, you would be at the halfway point. It would be the first step past it. You'd be like, this doesn't feel right, and you'd turn.
Mm-hmm.
And same with if you slid down on a fire pole, you would go past a little bit because of momentum, and then you'd swing back, and you'd end up, if you slid a pole down the middle of the Earth, you would stop directly in the middle, I think.
That's how I think the biggest struggle is trying to imagine a tube that just cuts through, a pressureless tube in a way that cuts down the middle. That's the hardest.
That's the magic of it.
That's the hardest part to conceptualize, and that's what screwed me up at first, is that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Claire?
I honestly barely went to school, so this question, I don't even know what the question was, because I would have had to read it 8 times.